The trio of Çatalhöyük. According to some archaeologists, Çatalhöyük was one of the earliest urban settlements in the world, while others consider it to have been a sprawling village. However, it lacks several elements to be characterized even as proto-urban, let alone urban. Village or city, one thing is certain. Çatalhöyük is one of the most important Neolithic archaeological sites in the world, located in central Anatolia, Turkey. In the vicinity of this settlement lived three friends, a bull, a wild donkey, and a small bird. Day by day, they roamed through fields and sparse forests of shrubs and trees, and their favorite spot was the banks of the Konya River. Here, they met every time they wanted to discuss something or play together. But not only did they play together, they also sang. The bull provided the bass, the bird sang various melodies she invented herself, and the donkey intervened only for special effects, usually in songs with comic lyrics. The audience laughed very hard at such moments, because over time they became so famous in the forest that everyone knew them and came to their concerts. This trio, the bull, the donkey, and the bird, lived happily. But despite their great fame, they weren't too wealthy. They sometimes didn't have anything to eat. Once the three of them met a lizard, who told them something wonderful. She described the human settlement as if it were something extraordinarily beautiful, where animals are fed, they no longer have to search for food, and they have everything they need in abundance. The bull, the donkey, and the bird immediately thought of visiting the humans and even staying there, if it really was so good for them. However, being smart and cautious, they thought of sending someone to verify what the lizard had said, and in case it turned out that life with humans was as wonderful as the lizard described, then they would all go. They thought about whom to send. It had to be someone brave, but not too big, so as not to be noticed by the humans. And so they decided to ask a frog to go visit the humans and check how the animals lived there. The frog agreed, especially since the bird promised her a fat fly if she checked how the animals lived with humans and told them. The frog went to the human settlement. But since the walls of the houses were tall, some even had multiple floors, the frog couldn't get into the humans' houses, nor into the place where the animals were kept. She thought a lot about what to do. She was embarrassed that she couldn't get in, and she didn't want to miss out on the fat fly either. So she thought to make up something. The three of them wouldn't know whether she was telling the truth or not anyway. So that's what she did. She went back to the bull, the donkey, and the bird, and told them that with the humans, the animals had a golden life. They slept all day, food was brought to them 5 times a day, and what food it was, the most delicious dishes on earth. The bulls were scratched on their backs daily, the donkeys were pampered at their tails and lavished with attention, and the birds had their food brought to them on golden plates. The trio was extremely pleased with the frog's description. The bull and the donkey immediately wanted to go to the humans and ask them to stay with them forever. The bird was also excited about the idea, but being cautious, she said to the others,
"Let's do another test, just in case there's any danger there and we perish. It's better to send someone else to see how the animals live with humans. Let's wait another day, but at least we'll be sure everything is fine there."
The others weren't too keen on the idea, but for the sake of the bird, they waited another day. Whom to send, they all wondered. Once again, they thought it should be someone who could sneak into houses without being noticed. They chose the snake. They found a snake, told him what they wanted from him, and eagerly awaited for him to leave, but more so, they awaited his return with good news. The snake, being very cunning, went near the houses, where the women had placed some baskets of food. At a moment when they weren't paying attention, he slithered into one of the baskets and coiled up there, waiting in great silence to see what would happen. Shortly after, the women picked up the baskets and took them inside the house, without noticing that there was a snake in one of them. He stayed there until he heard noises from the humans. But when they went to sleep, the snake emerged from the basket and began to wander around. He moved from room to room, climbed the stairs, and even went through the ceilings into the next rooms. Are you curious to know what he found in the humans' houses? Well, the interiors of the houses at Çatalhöyük were composed of multiple white plastered rooms arranged around a central, often larger room. This central space had walls painted with all kinds of hunting scenes, including scenes where wild donkeys were hunted. The animals, in reality, were not kept inside the houses, as the lizard had said, nor even in stables. They were kept somewhere near the houses, without a roof to protect them from rain, cold, or heat. And the animals did not seem happy at all. In the larger rooms, the snake found bull horns, which did not bode well for the animals. The snake immediately understood that it was not a good place for animals. But being sly, when he returned to the bull, the donkey, and the bird, he only told them good things about how the animals were kept by the humans. He made up all sorts of untruths about how well and happily the animals lived there, and he repeated some of what he had heard from the lizard to make it more believable. If two animals say the same thing, it is more likely to be believed than if just one says it. Why do you think he lied like that? Firstly, he was afraid the animals might beat him for the bad news he would have given if he told the truth. Secondly, he expected a big reward from the bull, the donkey, and the bird if he gave them very good news. They once again received the good news with great joy and were eager to go to the humans. But the bird held them back again. She said that although she believed what was said, she still didn't trust the snake much. Everyone knew how sly he was. She asked her friends to send one more animal to investigate the place and tell them if the animals really lived as well with the humans as they were told. The others didn't really agree, but for the sake of the bird, as they knew she was very wise, they agreed to stay one more day. This time, they sent a hawk. The hawk didn't even bother to fly all the way to Çatalhöyük. He made a circle in the air, flying just far enough to disappear from the horizon of the three animals who had sent him, and then quickly returned. He thought to himself, why should he tire himself out going all the way there? If two animals had said the same thing about how well the animals were kept by humans, who would believe him if he said otherwise? Probably no one. So, he returned and repeated the lies told by the lizard and the snake. The bull and the donkey were overjoyed by the good news brought by the hawk and immediately set off on their journey. The bird could no longer hold them back. However, she found it suspicious how little time the hawk had spent away from them and how quickly he had returned. But she didn't have much time to think, as they were already approaching the humans' houses. She took a deep breath and, with all her strength, sped toward the humans' houses. She wanted to get there before her friends, so that if something was wrong, she would have time to warn them of any possible danger. As soon as she arrived, she saw through the roofs of the houses the bull horns on the walls, and she saw the animals tied up and unable to leave. In an instant, she understood the situation. She returned as fast as she could to her friends, who had already reached the humans' houses. She quickly told them what she had seen and urged them to go back home while there was still time. But they didn't even have time to decide whether to believe her or not, as a crowd of humans, armed with spears and axes, suddenly descended upon them, intending to hunt them. The poor donkey and bull barely managed to escape with their lives. The donkey nearly lost an ear, and the bull lost a horn in his struggle with the humans. But they escaped and made it back home. For 3 days, they rested without doing anything, without talking to anyone. But after 3 days, everything returned to normal. They formed their musical trio again and continued to roam the forest. This time, however, they sang not only fun songs but also songs that told the story of what they had experienced and how animals lived with humans. They became so beloved by everyone that they received food and gifts from all as a reward not only for their music but also for warning everyone to stay away from humans. And so, as their fame spread among the animals, humans could no longer hunt there and had to move to other lands where the animals were still unfamiliar with them. Thus, the wise little bird and her friends saved the animals in the region where they lived, and Çatalhöyük became depopulated. In the end, the trio of the wise little bird, the donkey, and the bull became heroes among their kind, remembered for their bravery and cunning.
The characters and events of this story are fictional. Historical truths are as follows. Çatalhöyük is one of the most important Neolithic archaeological sites in the world, located in central Anatolia, Turkey. It was inhabited from approximately 7,500 BCE to 5,700 BCE, according to some archaeologists, until 4,500 BCE, according to others. The settlement consisted of houses made of sun-dried mud bricks and timber beams, clustered around inner courtyards accessible by external stairs and roof hatches, with no streets or public squares. The dwellings contained several whitewashed rooms arranged around a larger central one, often adorned with painted walls, believed to have served as family shrines. Clay bull skulls with real horns were found here, and the murals painted in red, green, black, and yellow depicted bulls, deer, hunters, and dancers. Archaeological excavations have revealed evidence of wheat, barley, lentil, and apple cultivation. Cattle rearing became increasingly important, while wild bull and onager, wild ass, continued to be hunted. Clay seals, used for sealing storage vessels and chests, were also discovered here, indicating the existence of clan-based ownership of material goods. The settlement is renowned for its clay female figurines, considered to have religious or fertility significance, embodying the Great Mother, while clay bull skulls with real horns are seen as symbols of masculine creative force. Graves were often located beneath the floors of houses, suggesting a close connection between the inhabitants and their ancestors.